In our complex world, leadership is often equated with relentless intervention. More controls, more regulation, more hands-on management. Governments legislate endlessly. Corporations optimize for profit at the expense of people. And organized religion impose dogma while claiming moral authority. These forces, working in concert, have created a global system of inequality, spiritual disconnection, and subtle enslavement. But we are not powerless. Ancient writings, some over 2,500 years old, offer a radically different blueprint. These texts, once buried or distorted, now rise as tools for liberation. They teach us that true leadership begins with trust, spaciousness, and restraint. They remind us that complex systems, whether nations, communities, or relationships, often thrive when we stop interfering and start listening. This episode adds our voice to the growing chorus of humanity rising with good intentions. We stand alongside many others, using these timeless insights and modern technology to co-create a more equal, conscious, and collaborative world. We're not here to destroy the old, but to illuminate the path of the whole, where both structure and flow, both inhale and exhale, have their place in the dance of life. In chapter 60, Lao Tzu tells us, governing a large state is like cooking a small fish. Too much poking ruins it. When the ruler approaches the world with the Tao, evil spirits lose their power. It is not that they lose their power, but that their power no longer harms people. It's not that their power no longer harms people, but that the sage himself does no harm. When both do no harm, virtue flows between them. This chapter contains one of the most memorable metaphors in all of Eastern philosophy. Governing is like cooking a small fish. If you constantly flip it and poke it, it falls apart. The delicate flesh needs gentle, minimal handling to cook properly. So too with complex human system. Constant intervention destroys the natural integrity and intelligence already present. The second part reveals an even deeper truth about leadership's energy. When the ruler approaches the world with Tao, evil spirits lose their power. These evil spirits aren't supernatural beings. They represent the negative forces in any system. Office politics, bureaucratic inertia, corruption, gossip, fear. When a leader operates with alignment to natural principles, the Tao, these destructive forces simply can't gain traction. It's not that they're eliminated, but that their power to cause harm is neutralized. The crucial insight is that harm prevention begins with self-restraint. The sage himself does no harm. Most problems in complex systems are created or amplified by clumsy interventions. When leaders stop creating new problems through heavy-handed actions, existing problems often resolve naturally. The final line, virtue flows between them, describes the magical result. A self-reinforcing cycle of trust and cooperation that makes forceful control unnecessary. This principle of minimal intervention and leading by alignment appears across wisdom traditions that understand complex systems. In Sun Tzu's Art of War, the brilliant general wins through positioning rather than combat. Sun Tzu writes, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." This is the military equivalent of not poking the fish. Achieving objectives through such perfect understanding and positioning that forceful intervention becomes unnecessary. In Stoicism, the concept of focusing only on what's within your control is a personal practice of non-interference. Epictetus taught, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. The Stoic leader doesn't waste energy trying to control others, but focuses on their own virtue and responses. In Indigenous stewardship, Many traditions emphasize working with natural cycles rather than dominating them. The principle of taking only what you need and leaving the rest ensures systems remain balanced, like not overhandling the fish. Indigenous land management often involves light touch interventions that allow ecosystems to maintain their own resilience. In Montessori education, the method embodies this light touch philosophy. Dr. Montessori observed that children learn best when guides prepare the environment, then step back, allowing natural curiosity to direct learning. The teacher's role isn't to constantly intervene, but to create conditions where self-directed learning flourishes. Our modern systems suffer from chronic over-intervention. Governments issue thousands of new regulations each year, often to fix problems created by previous regulations. Corporations flood our lives with meetings, metrics, and manufactured urgency. Marketing empires provoke endless desires, keeping us chasing illusions. Organized religions, in many cases, impose rigid doctrines that disconnect us from direct spiritual experience. Together, these forces form a cycle of dysfunction. Intervention breeds more dysfunction. Each invites even more control. This pattern persists because a society that practices light touch leadership cannot be easily dominated. Bureaucracies lose their justification when communities self-organize. Management consulting becomes obsolete when people are trusted to lead themselves. Political power built on crisis loses its grip when problems resolve through collective wisdom. And spiritual monopolies dissolve when individuals reconnect with the divine within. But we are not here to wage war against these systems. We are here to remember, reclaim, and reweave. Ancient writings, some over 2,500 years old, offer us the keys to undo our shackles. These texts, once hidden or distorted, now return as guides for our liberation. They teach us to lead with restraint, to trust the organic intelligence of life, and to build from the inside out. With modern technology as our ally, we can amplify these lessons and co-create systems rooted in equality, dignity, and shared purpose. We live in a world that glorifies a select few, those with multiple mansions, unlimited resources, and disproportionate influence, while countless families live with meager means, their gifts buried under systemic neglect. This imbalance is not natural. It is engineered, and we together can re-engineer it, not by tearing it down, but by building anew, not by exclusion, but by integration. Just as inhale and exhale coexist to sustain life, both structure and flow have their place, but the time has come to rebalance. This application of the wisdom creates immediate relief and better outcomes. The 48-hour rule. Before intervening in any team conflict or problem, pause for 48 hours. Most issues self-correct when given space. This simple practice prevents overreaction and restores trust and natural resolution. Community-led policing. Instead of escalating force, communities like Camden, New Jersey, dissolved their police department and rebuilt it with community oversight and relationship-based practices. Crime dropped when provocation stopped and connection began. Minimal viable policy. In organizations, fewer rules often mean greater innovation. Google's 20% time emerged from minimal structure and gave birth to Gmail and AdSense. When we trust people, creativity flourishes. Parenting with patience. Rather than constant correction, we set clear boundaries and allow natural consequences. Children grow wiser when we stop rescuing them from every small mistake and let life teach. The most skilled leaders are remembered not for their interventions, but for their restraint. They didn't provoke unnecessary conflict. They didn't impose solutions where none were needed. They didn't stir the waters when clarity was emerging. Master the light touch, and we, as a collective, we'll rediscover that most things, from nations to human hearts, work better when we stop poking them.